Hi, my name is Professor Mark Bura. The following is an edited recording of a conversation I had with Dr. Rose REISSMAN when she visited the class I teach online for Touro University. Rose, an instructional coach at Ditmas 62, a public middle school in Brooklyn, New York, was visiting my class as a guest presenter. This graduate level course that I teach for Touro is titled Technology Integration for School Leaders. The focus of our conversation was a body of student activities that Rose and her teacher colleagues at the school implement that's titled Soapbox Speeches, Using Words Not Weapons to Advocate for Positive Change. Students write and record speeches about real issues in their world that they care about deeply. Students engage in a variety of ELA and social studies learning activities that are enabled by the focused use of technology and student art. Students deepen their social, emotional, and creativity skills and understandings. A body of resources for viewers interested in doing this work with their students can be found below. Please consider subscribing to this channel and giving this video a like. In my opinion, you've built a very special, unique, and unusually strong school culture at Ditmas Middle School. We're going to do a brief introduction of who you are and what you've done over the years. I do also want to reveal to my students that Dr. Rose and I are friendly colleagues, and we've known one another for many years now. We've written books together, we've done PD workshops together and all sorts of things, but I've described you as an instructional coach who specializes in ELA and social studies, and you are in a school every day of the week, are you not?
Yes, I am. I have spent my life by choice with actual authentic children and teachers. Many coaches sit on the side, which there's nothing wrong with. They have a rubric, they give comments on the side, etc. I've never perceived it as that. I'm what's called a co-teaching, collaborative teacher in the classroom with the kids, with the team, working together. Always chosen to work with Title I, which is the underserved, socially and economically needy and culturally diverse populations. The work that we do, it's created feeding off the culture, the news, the things kids talk about, the things we react to as people, and involving and engaging students authentically. I'm steeped in the traditions of English language arts and social studies teaching. I can recite the curricula to you. I can put up learning objectives. I can do that off the top of my head. But I'm also steeped in taking the traditional and enhancing it, and in looking at it and perhaps substituting certain things and modifying certain things and transforming it and making anew using digital resources.
You are big into project-based learning and authentic activities and alternative progressive approaches. The centerpiece tonight is your body of activity, your project, Student Soapbox Speeches, which is essentially ELA, social studies, and more.
Yes, it is.
One more little disclaimer for my students' benefit. A lot of what goes on in their classrooms, we might call traditional or traditionally oriented, and that's fine. But I continue to present these alternative ideas. And I just want to stress that what you do, soapbox speeches and other things, These things are done in a middle school in which a lot of traditional education is going on at the same time. And so I'm not presenting something that we would bring you to an either or. Either you're going to do traditional or you're going to do this. In fact, it's probably best if kids get to do it all.
Okay, so Mark, you've used the word traditional. I know that listening to this, many of you are not in the position to suddenly come out and pioneer something brand new and all approach when you're supposed to be doing this particular curricula, and you're being observed for it too, making sure that you're adhering to it. So I'd like to say that you can do the traditional, but twist it to alternative and to authentic and still be hitting all the objectives and all the goals and all the language and skills. So Soapbox, within it are the same goals all teachers work for, which are making connections, having student voices heard, agency, students owning their project, cultural responsiveness, social and emotional learning. And guess what? That is all viable within the traditional.
So these projects can be viewed responsibly as alternative ways to get at the same things that more traditional approaches get at. Why don't you explain briefly what the Soapbox Speeches extended body of activity is?
Okay. Long ago, in the 1920s and 1930s in New York City, if you had a concern, if you were upset with garbage pickup in your neighborhood or with violence or with some neighborhood business tactic or etc., you would go to a neighborhood town, to some kind of a town place. It would usually be a wide area, and there'd be an actual soapbox crate. Products were delivered like that, and you'd stand on top of a crate, and hopefully you'd have a loud voice, or you'd be given a megaphone, and you'd complain or urge or prompt or give a speech. You went up to a soapbox, and all citizens had a chance to do it. And then you would either be cheered, or others would get up on the box after you and talk in contrast or in support of what you said. So leap forward to the 21st century, and soapbox speeches, that concept of taking an issue and of just saying why the issue touched you or concerned you or angered you or excited you. And number two, bringing in statistics. So there's research, tradition, research with statistics, with quotes, with reputable sources, research to support your position, argument, or feeling. And then at the end of this structured traditional format, a take action, what you want your audience to do, feel, react, start a new initiative, etc. So that became, in social studies education, from grades 4 through 12, that became a genre. Like in ELA, we have memoirs, and we have argumentative statements, and we have expository writing. That became a genre, soapbox speeches. And it was, of course, related to debates and to other parts of social studies education. Leap further forward to the last 15 or 20 years, and they started a soapbox competition. And in particular, one group specialized in it called MIKVA Challenge, and they had kids doing these not only in a single school, but they took schools from around districts or regions, and they had a central place where before the pandemic, kids came and they would compete. They would give their speeches and react to each other. And also this aligned with the traditional soapbox idea of youth Congress. So that is the background of soapbox. In my particular district, our wonderful superintendent, Dr. David Preto, embraced that concept, district-wide, District 20, Brooklyn, Kensington. But we're talking today of the activity that you can do with a single class and share throughout the school without spending any money, and have the students become what is one of my passions, students, citizens now in the classroom.
Now we have to get back to one of my passions, which is the integration of technology. So I'm just going to mention in passing that usually, I mean, the title of this course is Technology Integration for School Leaders. Usually when teachers talk about technology integration, what comes to mind is a vision of a single classroom, an interactive whiteboard, kids at their desks, at Chromebooks. That is what it is, but we're looking at a completely different side of it tonight. We're looking at how technology can be integrated into the learning culture of an overall school, which is something we should not overlook either. Here, what do the students do? And you mentioned MIKVA Challenge. And for most teachers, their contact with MIKVA Challenge is going to be through MIKVA Challenge's website.
It's a wonderful website. Yes, there it is. And I'd like to say that that was the training ground for our Student Soapbox speakers. Costs nothing. It has a fantastic curriculum, great curricula. If you don't know anything about this field and you're just starting out and you want to make sure that you align to your English language arts objectives and your social studies and maybe your science, because science wants you to communicate. Science is communication of ideas, etc. Read the curricula and you will be able to do it. Now, here's a child. They have actual samples. The wonderful thing about this resource. So when Mark says integrating technology, that doesn't mean, oh, today I have to do Chromebooks. Today I'll do Flip. Today I'll do Audacity. Today I'll do Pear Deck, etc. It means you go to this website. Here's Hyacinth C. This is an actual child, and she's talking about the fact of immigrants and how they feel. And you can pick from about 60 of these. We picked Hyacinth because mine is a school filled with immigrants and migrants. So, wow, she was perfect for us. And then we listened to her. And then the kids, not us, said, well, these are the techniques she's using. She steps up, she smiles, she moves this way, she moves out, and there are different styles. So right there, you have a training ground, and your kids are being trained by other kids. And the kids, once they see it's another kid. And so it's a wonderful resource.
So the way to get your kids at your school to understand what a soapbox speech is was to show them some of these video model samples from the MIKVA Challenge website. And then later on, as time went by,
we showed them these other speeches of kids in the school.
Right.
And what's
and these
lovely
are from
is even from 2 or 3 years ago. And in many of our classes, we say to the student, you know what? You don't have to recite this speech in front of the class. You can flip record it, and we'll show you flip recording.
What's Flip?
What's Flip? Flip is it's an app which allows you to record a speech and to edit it yourself and to video yourself and then to turn it in to the teacher or show to others when you are ready and you are satisfied with your speech. And if you're a 6th to 8th grader, that means that you might not have to go up in front of 28 or 30 or 200 kids in an auditorium, but you can turn into your teacher, Mr. Caradeo or Mr. Downs, your flip recording. That means you've done your speech, and together you can analyze it or whatever, and it can be shown to other kids and shared with 3 or 4 friends that you have. That's what Flip is. Free initially. Any teacher, non-techie, can do it.
Before I forget, I want to make the point that you could do this without the digital camera, but there's something about, in this day and age, these kids live in a digital video culture. This really makes it come alive for them. It makes it serious business for them. They kind of love that aspect of it. That's a great deal of what engages them and convinces them that they're doing something.
They have a product, Mark. They have a product. You mentioned we have class websites. Our school's just filled with wonderful teachers, and very easily they punch up a class website. So, and also another point, this is for the teachers sitting and listening to this. Just because you teach a class and it's called class 6324, it doesn't mean that the kids in class 6324 know the kids in class 6328. They may not even eat lunch with them. They may go to the same school and maybe see them sometimes in the yard or sometimes in gym. But this way they get to see, we showed after the event in our school. So it went from class in our school to auditorium with 200. And then we showed in different classes, we showed kids in the other grades auditorium to the kids in this class. They were fascinated.
What you're describing is a strong culture of learning, where kids are aware of what's being learned in other classes and want to participate, and it all adds up to something much greater than what goes on in any single classroom. And here's a photo of you with these kids preparing, and so this, we could call this hybrid learning. They're starting out with very traditional materials before they get to the flip video.
First lesson of this, easy. What concerns you in life? I asked the question, what are you afraid of? And it was frightening to hear the question because I grew up in the same neighborhood as that school. They're afraid of being out on the street alone during the daytime. They're afraid someone's going to attack them. They're afraid of war. They're afraid of violence. They're afraid. So that was the first thing. Write what you're afraid of, what you're passionate about, like what you'd like changed or what you like in life. They wrote that. Then research it. Second lesson. Oh, look, there were 6 different articles on violence in our neighborhood, and someone actually got hurt in our neighborhood. They find the research. And then third part of it is take action. All of this is traditional. And at a certain point, they didn't go online and take photos. I asked them to make traditional posters or art reflecting that. Here's our student proudly speaking his speech.
So this goes on in the individual classrooms for a while. They're writing, they're outlining, they're scripting, they're doing their flip videos, and then there's a culminating activity, which is a big deal, delivering of speeches in an auditorium assembly, right?
Yes.
They make art to support their performance. If you're interested in doing this, you'll have the link to the MIKVA Challenge Project Soapbox site.
And it has a whole curriculum of how to do this. So if you're new to it and you're not so certain, or you don't see how it would align with the curricula you're supposed to be doing, just use that curricula. It has all the alignments, all the different skills, traditional reading, writing, research, speaking, listening.
Quite a project, and it's become, I have another screenshot of the New York City DOE website where they actually recommend that all of the schools participate. I thought I'd show a little bit of the history. So you've been doing this project for a good while, even before it was this formalized international celebration. You were doing it on the individual classroom basis. That about a year ago, my colleague Michelle Haken and I put out this book published by ISTE, and it's called Creative SEL, using hands-on projects to boost social emotional learning. And this is one of the projects that went in the book. I should say a version of it, the version that your colleague, Mr. Caradeo, wrote up. And again, these flip videos, so you can see his name in the corner. This is his flip account. These are screenshots of the soapbox speeches, his class, or I should say your class. You were working with Mr. Caradeo.
Yeah, he and I and Mr. Downs are all part of a team. So this is a traditional soapbox. So soapbox, it's a term naming something that's internal to all teachers' voice. your voice about what's happening in the world, your voice about what concerns you, choice, your choice about how to take action, how to share it with others, your agency, what sort of action do you want to take?
And it's gaining popularity. So this is a screenshot of one of the New York City Department of Education's official websites. We Teach New York City.
200,000 students. The head of MIKVA Challenge, Jill Bass, liked what we are doing. She told me 200,000 students in New York City are taking part of it, and New York City has 1 million. But this is something anyone, anywhere, in any class can start doing there.
And because it's voice and choice, you can choose the specific theme. Staying within the general parameters of this, if you feel it would do the school well to have a topical theme when you're doing these soapbox speeches, like celebrating Black history, this lends itself to that.
The important thing is it's available. It's free, it's accessible, it's exciting, it's engaging, it is traditional skills learning, but it's also authentic citizenship.
We're going to finish with this. I kind of misspoke before. I said the assembly in the auditorium was the culminating activity, but you slipped another one in, a really good one, after the dust cleared on that. So why don't you share what this is?
So at the end of it, I always like to know what the kids think about it. And I like to have them sit down, and I like them to be critics, their choice, their voice. What did they think? Because the school really, they heard kids from 9 other classes who they didn't know that they had written this type of speech. What did they think? So I asked the kids, and I have like about a 24-page document. So here's a girl in the 7th grade, and she heard speeches on a topic that she felt was really important, bullying. Many of the kids did. And what she was able to see as a thinker and evaluator, what she saw distinguished this particular speech that she liked by a girl she didn't know, even though they're in the same school in the 7th grade. She liked that the girl referenced her own personal bullying experience. And then we found out that the kids were really hyped up about the fact that they hadn't gone on any field trips this year. And these children don't go anywhere from their own homes because there's a lack of money, resources, time, and leisure to go on field trips, even to free cultural places. They loved the kid who spoke about field trips. And now this kid, Lewis,
I love this.
This kid noticed there was only one speech about lawyers who tricked immigrants. So of course, in the context of our school, where we have many students whose parents have immigrant or non-documented status, Lewis recognized that speech hit a chord with him, bad lawyers. And he felt that was a unique speech, but he also recognized why. And so
I love the way he starts, Rose. I did not like any of the speeches. But, if you're up to the challenge, Rose, in 90 seconds or less, because I've got to wrap this up and let my students get back to their lives.
So I would say that this works brilliantly because you have students owning it, students reacting, students reflecting, students choosing. Students are always happy to do assignments if it's something about them, their interests, their choice, their voice, making connections, which is the whole theme of social studies, making connections past to present, to me, to the future. Students are thrilled to do that. And it's my soapbox here to ask you to take action and to at least give this a try.
A body of resources for viewers interested in doing this work with their students can be found below. Please consider subscribing to this channel and giving this video a like.